and welcome to another episode of Strange Planet. And on this episode, an update on my journey with the blue bottle, Asea. And I've been taking Asea about a month and a little bit now, and I'll report what's happening with me in just a few moments. But I've been talking a lot about Lynn. Call Lynn, text Lynn. She'll bring you up to speed. She'll set you straight. She'll tell you all you need to know. Text Lynn before you buy anything. Phone her. She's anxious to talk to you. So I thought maybe it might be useful if you actually met Lynn Matthews. And Lynn has quite a story to tell of her own. She has a background as an entrepreneur for like 30 years. She has a background in holistic health. She's all about mind, body, and spirit. She's into yoga. And she's also been working with Asea for about 9 years, and she's here to tell you all about that, how she began her journey with the blue bottle, Asea. Lynn Matthews, welcome. How are you?
I am great, Richard. Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
So let's just dive right in here. How did you get introduced to this incredible Redox supplement, Asea?
Well, I think everyone's met my daughter. She was on one of the first shows you did about Asea.
Danielle,
And
yes.
that is actually how I was introduced. You know, I have been in wellness. I had a yoga studio for a number of years, and we did a lot of therapeutics. So I got to work a lot with practitioners in the Annapolis, Maryland area, you know, osteopaths, chiropractors, acupuncturists, and a lot of friendships grew out of that. So when my daughter had her accident, the first thing I did was tap into all of their expertise to see if they had anything that would help her recover. And literally for the first year, we were going to different appointments every day of the week. And even though, you know, some people had things that would help her a little bit, nothing was helping her get back to a normal life.
We should
Um,
just for those who missed that episode with your daughter Danielle, she was hit by a drunk driver
yes.
and sustained head and brain injuries. And for the next, 10 years, she had debilitating headaches, right?
Two
2 years.
years.
My apologies. 2 years.
Oh
Two
my
years.
goodness, I can't imagine if it was 10. It was two was bad enough. But yes, it was to the point where, you know, she was sleeping 18, 20 hours a day. She had debilitating headaches. We had blackout fabric in the house because she couldn't handle light. There was no TV, no radio, couldn't handle noise. She couldn't find words. Her personality changed. I mean, it was a terrible thing for any young person to go through. And that was why I was tapping into all these experts that I knew. Even my dad was a Western trained physician. So we even tapped into, you know, neurologists and things like that, who actually told us after the first year that her brain had done all the healing it was going to do and to get used to this new normal, which I thought, I'm sorry, you know,
That's
that's
not an option.
not acceptable, not an option. Exactly. So it was 2 years after her accident that one of my students, who happened to also be a practitioner in the area, she was an acupuncturist, told me that she had come across this technology. It was about cells. She was using it in her practice, and every one of her patients seemed to be benefiting. It didn't seem to matter what was wrong with them. And she said, I really think it can help your daughter. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. I think you should give it a try. And I just thought it was great. I mean, I did not do any research, but she said, you know, it's already in your body, so it can't hurt you. And I thought, wonderful. So I brought this blue bottle home and was trying to tell my daughter about it. And she was a biology major in college. So she turns the bottle around and she looks at it and she said, Mom, you've looked at the ingredients, right? It's sodium chloride and water. That's salt water. And she said, what does your friend think salt water is going to do for my brain injury? I think it's a scam. And she refused to try it. And I'll be honest, you know, for 2 years of trying so many different things and being disappointed, I didn't blame her.
Right.
And I didn't know a lot about it, but I had really bad inflammation and arthritis in my fingers. I was bone on bone in every finger. All the rheumatologists had told me my only option was pain management. And I didn't want to go down that route yet. So I was just dealing with it. I mean, I could not tie my shoes. I couldn't push covers off myself at night. It was excruciating. And this is about all I could do to make a fist. So I thought, well, I've got it here. I might as well try it myself. And I did. And within 6 weeks, I could make a fist. You know, the pain wasn't all the way gone. That took a little longer. But to this day, I've got all my dexterity back. And I would love to get an x-ray because I am pretty sure that I am not bone on bone anymore. But my husband saw that, and he had had some things going on from left over from college football. So he thought, well, I'll try it. And he hadn't experienced it within 2 weeks. And that's kind of when we sat her down and said, what if this is the piece that's been missing? We want you to just try it for 6 months. We'll pay for it. Let's just see if this is it. And I'll never forget, and those of you who have daughters, she rolled her eyes and she said, if you want to waste your money, go ahead. But we're going to be super scientific. We're not going to change anything. And so that's what we did. And she started on it. And for her, it took a solid 3 months. Whenever we're working with people, we always tell people, give it 3 to 6 months, give it at least 3 months, because we know that most of the clinical studies were done on 90 days. And a lot of times, if you stop too soon, you're not going to see the benefit that you want to see. But we also know that as soon as these molecules get in your mouth, as soon as this liquid goes in your mouth, it's going to work. I mean, in all the blood studies they've done, within 10 minutes, they're seeing shifts in the blood, but that's not something all of us are going to feel. So that's one of the really important things when people decide to bring this into their health regime or their wellness regime, that they have to realize that it's working even if you're not seeing anything yet, and just be patient and let the body do what it was designed to do.
Right.
So
if you want to get
go
heavy
ahead.
into the science, by the way, you should just refer back to the episode I did with Dr. David Silverman, and he goes into the science, and he gives out a couple of websites if you want to even go deeper. But this is a science. I mean, there are huge tomes, an entire library that has been written about this I don't know if it's a new science, but it is a science studying redox. These signaling molecules that, as you say, are produced inside our own bodies. And as we get older, we don't, like everything else, we don't spring back as quickly because those signaling molecules are not communicating the way that they once did. So that's basically what's in the, I call it pool water. It tastes a little bit like pool water, but it's, you get used to it and it goes down very easy, and you swish it around in your mouth for about a minute. And I'll tell you, I think what's happening with me in just a minute, but let's get back to, sorry for the interruption, Lynn.
No, that's all right. But your point about the science, it is actually a relatively new field of science. It's only been around since 1998 or 1999, and it's called redox biochemistry. So it is a relatively new area of science. In fact, a lot of people say, well, why hasn't my doctor heard of this? And it's because prior to 2000, they thought these molecules were just a waste product when our cells were creating energy. And so nobody studied them. But now it is studied in every medical school. And you're right, there are volumes. I'm embarrassed to say, but my computer's sitting up on one of those big textbooks now that's on redox biochemistry. So it is 5 different Nobel Prizes have actually been awarded for work in redox. It's kind of like, well, if you think about penicillin, nobody had heard of that. It took 40 years for penicillin to actually become mainstream.
Right.
And I think World War II really propelled that forward. So anytime you've got a breakthrough in medicine or science, it takes a while for there to be enough behind it for people to pay attention to it.
Right. And they'll come around eventually. They're always
They will.
Orthodox medicine is always a little behind the curve. But okay, so back to Danielle's story. She was, trained in biology. She wanted to do this by the books. And so she begrudgingly, let's say, started to participate and drink from the blue bottle. Then what happened?
She did. And she'll tell you now that if she had been a little less skeptical, she might have noticed subtle changes, because it's subtle things over time. But it was almost 3 months to the day. And I will never forget that day. She walked into my office and she said, "Mom, the brain fog that I've been living in, it's gone. Her migraines gone, her anxiety gone, her depression lifted. She was finding words again. She wasn't napping. For 2 years, she had to, anytime she'd come and have, dinner with us or lunch, she'd have to go take a nap. If she talked to a friend on the phone, it was just too much stimulation for her brain. She'd have to go take a nap. And all of that was disappearing. Her personality came back online. And it was at that point, actually, that the cognitive therapist that she'd been working with, literally, she'd been seeing this woman for 18 months every week. And she said, what is that stuff you're drinking? She said, because in all my 35 years of working with this type of injury, she said, this just doesn't happen. You know, this far out from the initial trauma, you don't see this kind of recovery. What is that stuff in the bottle? And we had to laugh and say, you know, Danielle was like, I don't know. I thought it was salt water. And that's when we met Dr. Silverman, because he at the time was doing these educational events in the Annapolis, Maryland area. And I started to go to them. And he is the one that explained to us exactly what we had gotten our hands on. And it was at that point that I actually got my dad, who was Western trained and usually pretty skeptical, but I got him on it, my mom, my mother-in-law, brothers, sisters, and we just started to share it with family.
And now I'm sharing it with my my podcast family, and sort of taking them along with my journey because I'm relatively new to this. I think just over a month ago, I started drinking from the blue bottle, Asea Redox supplement, and pretty quickly, the first thing that I noticed, and I mentioned this with Danielle, and I mentioned it with Dr. Silverman, was that I started to have, for the first time in a long time, really lucid, not lucid, that's not the right word, that has a different meaning, vivid dreams. Dreams that when I woke up, I could remember them. They were incredibly elaborate, like full-on motion pictures. Like I hadn't dreamt like that we dream every night, but we don't retain them. We don't remember them all the time, but I was remembering them. So that was an indication to me that I was getting some pretty heavy REM, because that's when we dream, during REM, and that's a very important stage of sleep, and sleep is everything. That's the restorative stage of sleep, right? When we're getting REM sleep, and they've done studies on this, when they wake people up in a sleep lab, just before they enter REM, they continue to do that. That person ends up, being very irritable, and their health is, kind of deteriorates a little bit. So we know what the importance of REM is. So that was my first, I guess, indication that perhaps Asea was doing something. And I talked to Dr. Silverman about it, and he talked about how one of the things that Asea does is it sort of unlocks certain genes, and there is a gene responsible for that, apparently. Anyway, go back and listen to that episode, and you'll get all the science. So, and Danielle is, she's doing terrific now, of course, and she's a total convert. You mentioned a little bit about your arthritis. You're incredibly active, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, I've always been active, but I am doing more now in my 60s than I did in my 30s and 40s, as far as biking and hiking. It's remarkable. And the recovery. I'm not somebody who works out. I should probably, but I don't go to a gym. I don't do any physical exercise other than jump on a bike, and we'll go on a 20, 30-mile ride. And it's very hilly here. I am never sore. And I know that it is because of these molecules, because one of the things that's why the high level athletes and some of the Olympic athletes use this, is because of the recovery. It allows them to recover much more quickly so they can push harder to excel in their and increase their endurance in their sport.
So you went from...
You don't have to be an Olympic athlete to get that benefit. I'm here to tell you.
Exactly. And you went from, this is about as much as you could do with your fingers, and now obviously you're riding a bike, so you're gripping the handlebars very tightly.
Yes.
Remarkable. So I keep telling people, call in, text Lynn, 443-254-6024. It's right there on the screen as well. And you also want to visit the website, strangeplanet.teamasea.com. That's on the screen as well. strangeplanet.teamasea, A-S-E-A. It's like Asea, the sea, right? Where we get salt water from. Asea.com. So why is it important? I keep telling people to text you and phone you. Why is that important?
It's important because this is not like a one size fits all. When you're replenishing your redox, your body's really intelligent. And what I need is different than what you need, Richard, different than what Danielle and Dr. Silverman and every listener needs. So your body is going to send these molecules where it's needed the most. My role with your audience, and I've gotten to meet some wonderful people from your audience, but my role is to guide them. If they want more information, it's to show them where to get it. If they want to order it, it's to show them how to go to your site to do that. I'm not there to sell them anything. I'm there to guide how to do things. But I'm also there because if there is a health challenge, or depending on their age, or do you want, is there a member of your family that has a challenge? Having this much experience with it, I can help them figure out, well, how much do we need to start with? How should I dose it? How do I take it properly? Because someone said to me, well, don't I just follow the directions on the bottle? Well, there's the directions on the bottle, and there's also practical usage that we've learned over the 9 years. And that's where I come in. And I think that's one of the reasons that Asea is also very different in its model, is that we don't want people to just get this and go away. We follow with every person. It's a journey that we'll take with you. So when you get in touch with me, I'm going to send you a link that gives you a health assessment form. It's just for you, but it's going to allow you to baseline everything about your health. And whether it's your, how are your eyes, what's your skin like, your nails, your hair, how do you sleep at night, what's your mood like, what's your energy like, how many times do you get up at night? And then if you have any specific challenges, maybe it's blood sugar, maybe it's blood pressure, you jot those down as well. And then you get on it for a week, and then you reassess, because it's little things over time. And if you're not noticing anything, you double it. But that's not written anywhere. It's not on the bottle, et cetera. And that's why it's so important to have somebody that's going to help guide you through.
Right. And it's important for people to know, you just go and order a bottle and then expect, like a miracle. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't. And if you understand what redox is doing in the body, our cells are breaking down literally from the moment you're conceived until you draw your last breath. They're breaking down all the time. It's part of living life. And your body's role, part of it, the immune system and these molecules, are to just detect that damage, get rid of it, and so you never have a problem. Like little kids, they are so full of energy, they bounce back from everything. It's because they have tons of these molecules. Once we hit puberty, which to me seems awfully young for this to start happening, we start to produce fewer of these every year of life. It's part of aging. So not only as we get older do we have fewer of these, the challenges of living on this planet are getting greater, right? Just the environmental things we deal with, the stress of living here. And the ones that we do produce aren't as effective. They're not as efficient as they used to be. So the ability to now replenish it takes us back decades. Suddenly you can recover like you did with a kid, or did as a kid. You can have the energy you did when you were a kid. You can ride bikes, you can play with your kids and your grandkids. It's not like you come home after a day of work and you feel like you've just got to collapse in a chair. So I think it helps people who do have some health challenges. And health challenges, sleep issues, that's a health challenge, because like you said, sleep is critical to your health. I was able to study with the scientist whose team stabilized the molecules. He did a cellular health course. And there were 5 key things for cellular health, which of course, when your cells are healthy, your body's healthy. And one of those was sleep. Number 1 was hydration, though. People don't realize how important it is to drink water. Tea doesn't count, other drinks don't count. The amount of water we drink is really important in order for your blood to flow smoothly and all of your organs to work properly. And part of that, one of those 5 was enough redox in your body so that the signal, as you mentioned earlier, is loud and clear, and your body can find where all those little fires are and start to put them out so that you can live the life you were meant to live. I believe that all of us, our birthright is to be healthy and vibrant until the day that we leave the planet.
Right, because our body has an innate ability, a God-given, incredible ability to heal itself. Except it does need a little help, and that is to replenish those redox signaling molecules, which are the ones that call 911 when there's a problem in a particular part of your body. And as you say, as we get older, those 911 calls aren't as strong. So please give Lynn a call or text her 443-254-6024. The number's right there on the screen. Check out the website, the landing page, strangeplanet.teamasea.com, strangeplanet.teamasea.com. Again, the website's there on the page. Have a look and then give Lynn a call for more information. I think it's also important to note that it's not just for people that have some kind of a debilitating or chronic illness. Like God, I'm blessed by God, and I have pretty good genes. My baseline health is pretty good. I'll be 59 in January. I really didn't have any aches or pains. I can bend over and tie my shoes without grabbing my back. So I'm noticing the subtle things right now after about a month and a bit in. And one of them I mentioned is REM sleep, heavy REM sleep. And the other thing is I had a dentist appointment today. And again, very blessed in this way. I've never had a cavity, but I brush pretty vigorously and maybe sometimes a little too vigorously. And sometimes I get sensitive gums and inflamed gums. And then when you go to the dentist for a cleaning and they start poking and prodding with those little metal tools, it can be a little sensitive, really sensitive actually. And today, I go every 6 months, nothing, no sensitivity whatsoever. And I can feel when I put my finger in and feel around in there, they feel, I don't know, harder, firmer, I guess is the word, firmer, no sensitivity whatsoever. And of course, I follow Lynn's instructions, and she's one of my guides through all of this. She instructed me very early on, make sure you keep it in your mouth when you take that first 4 ounces and swish it around and keep it in your mouth for about a minute. And I guess that's to get it right into the bloodstream, right?
Yes. And they say that is the most important thing. Because they used to think, they're learning, this is an evolving field, right? We're kind of at the cutting edge of this field of science. And so I know that the president of the company told me a couple months ago that they've learned more in the last 2 years about redox than in the 13 years the company's been here. And so they used to think you had to do it on a completely empty stomach and you had to wait 20 minutes. Now what they've realized is really you only have to wait 5 minutes on either side of taking it, but it's very important to hold it in your mouth at least 30 seconds. I tell people 60 because people tend to count really fast. Mm-hmm. And if they count to 60, they've probably held it for 30 seconds because it's not absorbed through digestion. It's absorbed through diffusion. As soon as it's in your mouth, it goes in through the tissue of your gums, your cheeks, your tongue, and it's immediately in the bloodstream. And because your body recognizes it, since it's in every cell, it is going to work. And it's been described as it's a cascading effect. As soon as it hits the bloodstream, every cell in your body is alerted. And then your body can pick and choose where it's going to send them for repair and to look for damage.
443-254-6024, 443-254-6024. Call or text Lynn and visit the website strangeplanet.teamasea.com. So I was saying that it's not just for people with chronic diseases. Be proactive about it, right? Because this is a great preventative too.
Well, I'll be honest. I've been drinking this now for 8 years. My hands, as I said, within 6 weeks felt great. It's something that I will always take. I don't take any medications. I don't take any supplements, and I am healthier now than I've ever been. When you understand that part of living life is that your cells are breaking down all the time, it makes sense to find something to be proactive that's going to keep them repairing and your body able to hear that they need to be repaired. So like you said, it's this 911 call that as you get older, if you think about a cell phone and that signal, if my body's sending out a signal that's only got 1 bar, my immune system's not going to hear it. Whereas if I can keep the level of redox high, it's going to repair like I did when I was younger. So you can live that vitality and be proactive and stay healthy. So whether you're looking to regain health or simply maintain it, anyone can benefit from this at any age. Usually kids don't need it, but I met with a pediatrician yesterday. We had lunch together. I was telling her about this. And she said, we used to be able to say that. She said, but I can't tell you the number of chronic things I'm seeing in children now, younger and younger. And so it's very, it's safe even for infants because it's already in them. So it really doesn't matter the age. Anyone can benefit from this.
Right, that's key. It's what your body makes. You're just putting it back in. It doesn't react with any other medication. You can't overdose on it. I take 4 ounces, but as you say, if people have, say, a chronic condition and they're not seeing results as quickly as they'd like, they can double that and take 8 ounces
Mhm.
a day. What do you take? Do you drink 4 or 8?
I take 8. I take 8. And if I'm going to do a big ride, I will take an extra 2 before and after.
Ah,
Yeah.
excellent.
And it's
440.
funny because I'm healthy, but I've just found that keeps me just, I mean, I just feel great. I'm in my mid 60s. And I know David shared, he's 62, I guess. He had took 4 ounces and felt really good. And then he decided to try what they call the magic 8. And he said it just took his vitality to a whole different level. Because he was already healthy, he said there was just something about it when he tried that. So I always tell people, play with the amount. If you are trying to bring a challenge back into balance, you might need more at first, but that doesn't mean that you will always have to take that. It's kind of like we always laugh and say it's like a sleep number bed. If you need to go up to 8 initially, then start there. But then once your challenges come into balance, go back to 6 for a couple of weeks, see if you maintain that vitality, go back to 4 because you might be someone who just needs the maintenance dose of 4. One of the things that one of the gals who's on the medical board, she's a great naturopathic physician, and I actually host her on a Zoom call every week. Anyone that's interested, I always give them that when they reach out to me. But she has said that what they have determined, and I don't know how they determined this, was that 4 ounces, the reason they say that's the minimum recommended amount as a maintenance dose is because that seems to be what's necessary to interrupt the breakdown of aging, just to interrupt the breakdown of living on planet Earth for healthy people. And then you add to that if you're, over 60 or if you have some health challenges. But that was a good baseline because we know what's happening, at the cellular level, just living life.
443-254-6024. 443-254-6024. Call Lynn. She'll guide you because it's not a one size fits all, and she has so many great tips and will guide you on this journey the way that she's been guiding me. And again, the website is strangeplanet.teamasea.com. Asea is like a sea, right? It's from the sea. Let me
The
try.
eyes
There
like
you
to
go.
the sea. So
To the
going to
sea.
the sea.
There you go. To the sea.
And if I can add one other thing, Richard, um, there are so many ways to use this, which is another reason that I love when people will call me, because you can take a spray bottle and spray it in your eyes. You
Yes.
can literally use this anywhere. I use it in my dog's eyes. Pets really do well with this. So it's things like that that you're not going to know unless I get to help you and hear what your story is, or not even that you have to share that with me, but just there's lots of ways to use this. We got rid of everything in our first aid cabinet because between the gel and that spray bottle and the liquid, it's how the body heals, and it's non-toxic and safe. So we use that for everything from burning yourself in the kitchen or cutting yourself to bee stings, mosquito bites, little kids who fall down and scratch their knee. Usually you go and grab the hydrogen peroxide or something. Well, that stings, right? The Asea, the redox molecules don't sting because it's already in them, and you start to heal a lot quicker because it's the way the body heals. So I've worked with so many different people. Little kids love this. I've got little kids who, ask for this little white tube whenever they cut themselves because they know it feels good.
Yeah, just put the tube up there on the screen. What did I do with
Yeah.
that? Oh, here's mine. Yeah. I've got the little one. I just started
Yeah.
using this on, I've got, I'm 59. I have late nights. I have bags under my eyes that I could smuggle contraband in. They're so big, but but I started using this, and it's early in the game, but I my skin feels a little tauter and smoother, so I'll keep people
Well, it's
advised
funny
of what's
because
happening.
when they came out with this, so the company was launched publicly, so to speak, in 2009. They came out with the gel in 2014, right when we got involved, because people were spraying the liquid all over their bodies for different things and seeing results, but it's messy, it's a liquid. So it took the scientists another 5 years to come up with a way to put it in a gel form where it still maintained the integrity of the molecules, because they're very, very fleeting molecules. So when it came out originally, it was more for cosmetics, just like you were saying. It's really designed for anti-aging, for wrinkles, for hydration in the skin, for cellulite, all those things. But through the course of time and different clinical studies that were done and just people using it, what they found is, and I think Dr. Silverman, I'm sure, talked about this, but if you've got any place that hurts or any joint that has limited range of motion, if you put this on that area 3 times in a 5-minute period, 80 or 90% of people will see a difference in 10 minutes. And it's not an analgesic. It's not like a Bengay or, Salonpas and those things. It's literally just sending out a call to the immune system. The immune system's going to come, and if it's inflammation, it's going to come and deal with the inflammation. Whatever it needs to do, it's going to help deal with it. So it's pretty amazing what you can use that gel for.
Yeah, the Renew 28 Revitalizing Redox Gel. And my son, I've mentioned this, one of my twin boys uses it on his acne and started to notice a difference immediately. And he uses it religiously now every night before he goes to bed. And the improvements continue. I mean, he had pretty bad acne. So he's delighted with the results.
Oh, I'm sure. And on that topic, that's a huge thing with a lot of kids, right? I mean, it's huge going through puberty and dealing with skin irritations, and some are mild, some are pretty bad. And the things that are out there marketed are highly toxic. And this is one of the safest things the kids can use, and it is designed to help the skin rejuvenate. So I'm really glad that he's seeing it so quickly. I honestly think every kid should have a tube of this in their locker.
Great idea. 443-254-6024, 443-254-6024. Call Lynn, text her before you do anything, and she will be your guide.
And it's my honor to do that, you guys. You're not bothering me, because I'm very passionate that people get educated about this. People don't know about it. The way our world is, things that we're being pushed to do, we really need to take responsibility for our own health. And this is one way that we can address it at the root. And I love, that the show is all about reality redefined. And this is wellness redefined, because for the first time ever, we can address what matters the most, and that's the cells.
Lynn, thank you so much.
Richard, it was my pleasure.
Talk soon.
Yes.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe at strangeplanetpodcast.com.